Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Mom Boss Chronicles. Today, we have a special guest with us, my husband, Gary Mawson. And Gary is here to talk to us about investing in real estate. Gary has been investing in real estate for, over 10 years, right?
Over 10 years, yeah.
Yeah, he's done everything from flipping homes to buying rental properties to Airbnb to doing like pretty much new construction stuff, so...
Well, it's not just me, it's we. So, I mean, Jennifer's involved in this too.
We. Well, yeah, as long as I've known you, you have, Gary and I, so to give everyone some background, Gary and I met in college. Mm-hmm. So he graduated with an economics degree, I graduated with history, and then he got into mortgages.
Yeah, so I grew up in South Jersey, and Jennifer and I met at Rowan University, and when we came out of college, there was really not much of a job market. I was working in mortgages. I did that for 3.5 years. And I was working in Toms River. I took a job. The job market was just terrible when we got out of college. So it was pretty much whatever we could get at that point. And I was working in the mortgage industry and didn't really love that. And we decided to buy a house in Jackson. That was kind of probably the first adventure into investing. Even though it was our own property that we were going to live in, it still needed work. We bought a foreclosure.
I remember we were 24 years old and I wanted to rent. I was like, why are we renting? Can we just rent? But you did not want to rent.
No, I think that was really probably my mom in my head just telling me to she's like, just buy something.
Don't rent.
Don't rent. But she wanted me to buy like that new construction home that didn't need any work. And we could just move into, and now, 20 years later, I see... Something. What's that?
At least she got you to buy something.
Yeah.
She did get me to buy something. And we bought that property.
It was a foreclosure.
Mm-hmm. It didn't need a ton of work. We were 24 at the time, so we didn't really need a whole lot.
Huge for 24-year-olds to buy a house.
Yeah.
Were you scared? I mean, like...
I was. I mean, because we're 24, so we don't have a lot of income. I remember counting every dollar. Like, we had to paint ourselves. We could do the floors ourselves.
But, a common misconception people have, you need 20%. Mm-hmm. Did you have 20% to put down?
Good question.
No, I don't remember what kind of mortgage. I think we did 5%.
So you started, but you started. You know what I'm saying? Even if you didn't have 20%, that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay.
And I scraped together the rest of the money for renovations and all that, and we did a lot of the work ourselves. I had friends that came in and helped with floors
and beer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know my parents bought appliances for us, and I think my grandmother gave us a little bit of money for that, for just some other stuff.
That's awesome.
Everybody helped out a little bit. I mean, it really does take a village to do all these different types of things. So, I mean, any help that you can get along the way, even just to start off, is always beneficial.
And we had to keep the original kitchen. Like, we couldn't renovate. Like, so back then, it was just like, let's paint the walls, let's make the floor look good. We're going to keep the bathroom and kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
It was that, like, old 80s laminate.
But we did the best we could. But that was our first adventure. So why? Why did you want to keep investing in real estate? Like, what motivated you, or why?
I just liked it. What motivated me, I really guess it was just when I went into college, I kind of always just knew I didn't really want to work for anybody else. And I was just really motivated to be my own boss. And that was, I think, my biggest motivation, was just never to have to work for anybody else. So I guess I really just liked real estate in general. I saw the potential and wanted to keep going with it. So we just kept doing it. I mean, from there, not everything's a happy story with a happy ending.
Okay, because we've been doing this since 2008. So 2008 is when we bought the condo in Jackson?
We bought the condo in Jackson in 2007.
2007, okay.
And we actually leveraged that. We took a home equity line of credit, which is like getting a credit card against your home. And we actually bought 2 other houses. So we bought a home in Lenoka Harbor, which went really smooth.
It was a flip.
We flipped that property. Made some money on it. And then we bought a home in Bayonne. And it went disastrous.
The market, so at this time, the market is going down. We bought it and the values are going down.
Yep.
So we were caught in a bad time. I think ultimately, I would say we probably didn't look at the numbers, right? I don't think you looked at the numbers too closely to see what the values were.
No, and I was tied to a profit. I really wanted to make a certain amount of money, and I would tell other people that right now that it's just list it for a good price and sell it quickly. Don't wait for that and try and stretch out the value as much as you possibly can, because you're not always going to get it.
And you have to look at the numbers.
Yeah, so I was probably a little naive at the time, and we just kind of got caught in a sunken ship, and
We had to short sell that.
we short sold that house. And because a lot of my money was tied up in that one, we ended up short selling the condo as well, which we don't really talk about too much.
Yeah. But I mean, I was honestly at peace with that because I'm grateful that we've invested it, but it was in a location that I wasn't loving.
Yeah.
The condo was in a remote location in New Jersey, and I didn't want to live there anymore. So for me, it was like, well, if we have to move, we have to short sell it. I was okay with it. Were you okay with it?
I just want to just back up something real quick. You guys are young. How did you know? Because you were in the mortgage company. How did you know to do a HELOC?
Good
'Cause
question.
I don't think
At 24,
I don't even
yeah.
think a 40-year-old would think
Right.
about
How
that.
many people know?
How did you come up know to leverage equity in your house?
So yeah, a lot of it came from learning from the mortgage industry. When I was in the mortgage company, the 80-20 loan was really popular, and basically what that is you would take 80%. It would be an 80% first mortgage and then a 20% home equity line of credit, whether it was fixed or the floating kind. And you would use that 20% as the down payment. And the mortgage companies were allowing this.
Wow.
They were giving you 100% financing on it.
So you didn't have to come up with money down.
No, if you had the credit, they would give you the loan no matter what. It was really easy to get financing.
Wow.
And people did this all the time, so it was easy I really understood that part of it. So going in and leveraging the property wasn't that big of a deal. And they didn't even come in and give me an appraisal on my house. They just did an automated value of the appraisal. They gave me more money than what my house is worth, which is
Crazy.
So all this probably
Right.
led to the short
Oh,
sale,
yeah.
right? So for people who don't know what a short sale is, it's when you owe more on the property than it's worth. And you want the bank to agree to basically take a hit on the property instead of foreclosing.
And you want to sell it. Yeah.
Yes, to
Because
sell.
the
Yes,
time came to sell in 2010 or wanting to move. In 2010, we want to move, but our mortgage was, X, and we couldn't sell it for that.
Yeah.
Right.
So we had to sell it for less. And we had to, negotiate with the bank, and they accepted it, and we were able to move. And I'm so happy because then we moved to the shore.
Yeah, I mean, everything
Happens for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And your all these experiences really led up to where we're at today.
Well, Bayonne was probably it was probably really tough, but it was probably such a really great lesson, right? Learning.
I just know I'll never do that again.
Yeah.
Never do what, though? What was the lesson there?
Due diligence, maybe?
Did you not really know the market up there?
I didn't
Right?
know the market well enough. I didn't
Right.
know what I was doing on that one. And yeah, just knowing your numbers, being really confident in what you can sell the property for, what you're purchasing it for, what your renovation money is. There was a lot of different factors in that one.
I think you just rushed to that decision, right? Yeah, because you wanted to invest so bad.
Right.
So you wanted to invest so bad, you're like, I'll take that without being like, what am I taking?
Right.
Yeah. It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moving on.
And honestly, I think we handled it really well. We were, still in our 20s at that point, but
Yeah,
we were
no
just
kids.
like, we didn't have kids. We moved to the shore. We lived in a really cute rental.
It's a good time to
in
be
Avon.
risky.
Yeah, so
know?
it was
Right.
it was fine,
Right.
but it's crazy because how many years went by before we bought another home?
So
sale.
we short sold that property, and I'll never forget this. It closed the week before Hurricane Sandy hit, or Superstorm Sandy. So it was like, oh my God! Thank God that thing's gone. This hurricane's coming up the shore.
The condo was fine. Yeah.
Well, the condo had already sold Bayonne.
Oh, Bayonne, but that was okay
Yeah,
too, right?
flooded.
Or did it get it?
No, well,
But
depending on where it was.
That property was at the height, it was at the top of the street.
Uptown.
So it really didn't make a difference.
They were okay.
But
Yeah.
you just
Never
I know.
know.
You were just happy to be done with it. I love. Yeah. So then you were, or we were in mortgage jail, right?
Yeah, 3 years basically.
Because when you do a short sale, you have to wait, right? 3 years before you could get another mortgage again.
We actually invested before the 3 years was over, though. So we had an opportunity one of our friends had his house. He had a leak in his pipe, and it flooded out his bathroom in the basement. And he asked me who I knew. He asked me if I could help him out, and so we renovated his bathroom. And from that, his father-in-law was the executor to a property, and that kind of
needed a lot of work.
It needed a lot
and he
of
thought
work.
of you because he's like, Gary, you're handy. You like to renovate. Would you want this townhome that needs a lot of work? You know, the family wants to get rid of it, but you're going to have to take it as is.
Yeah, so he gave us the first opportunity to come in, which was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Jen and I went and looked at the property, and we made an offer. He accepted, and we ended up purchasing that property.
With hard money, right?
With hard money.
Mm-hmm.
And basically what hard money is just somebody or a bank or an institution or like an individual investor who has some cash in his pocket. It lends you money at a pretty much an exorbitant rate.
But their terms. They
Yeah.
tell you, like, this is going to be the interest rate. You want the money, this is what you're going to have to pay for it.
We went into contract with that house without knowing how we were going to finance it. And we just called everybody that we knew, and eventually we found somebody that was willing to do the loan. And the terms of that loan were 12% interest only. And we paid 5%, 5 points on that loan, which is really high.
But it was worth it.
So the investor ended up making almost as much money as we did
did,
on
yes.
the deal. But
it gave us that confidence because,
Made money.
yeah, we ran the numbers and it made sense. Mm-hmm. Like, so we're like, this
So
makes
that
sense.
was like the difference. You sat down and you calculated.
Did our due
Right,
diligence.
yeah.
Yeah.
we knew it would make money, so we went for it, and
And the cool thing about that one is that one sold the day we brought Hunter home from the hospital. We closed on that flip. We closed on that flip the day Hunter came home from the hospital, and we were like, yay, we have money in our bank account from a flip. Like, and we were still renting.
Right.
And for me, and I'm sure this is because of you, Gary was really big into like listening to podcasts. Bigger Pockets back then we were listening to, and also books. Gary was like, you have to read Robert Kiyosaki, his first book,
Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yeah, we talk about that one a lot in the office.
Yeah.
I give it out often. I mean,
And it clicked for me because it's like, you know, poor people buy liabilities and rich people buy assets.
Yes. I really thought in that book that he had two dads.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
It took me a minute.
thought it was the Modern Family.
That's funny. But it's such a great story.
Yeah.
And but it was such a simple principle because at the time we're renting. And then Gary like, all right, well, how are we going to take and maximize every dollar?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and it's really just being in the right. It's talking to as many people as you possibly can, and sometimes you're just in the right place at the right time, and that's really what it takes is just putting yourself in the right opportunities and having as many conversations about what you want to do and what you're looking for as possible.
And I feel like it's mindset, right? Like we got in the right mindset of wanting to do it again.
Yeah.
Talking to people.
I mean, we get a lot of phone calls from people looking to purchase properties now that we have a handful of homes in our portfolio. And every time those phone calls come in, I'm like, you know, I'm not selling my house, but if you have something else that you want to sell to me, like I'll buy it. I'll figure it out. We'll make it work. So it's just a matter of repositioning it. I used to get angry when those people called, and now I'm like, why am I getting angry? Like these people are doing the same thing that I'm doing,
Right.
and
Yep.
I should make friends, yeah.
yeah, I mean, you just never know when that person's going to pick up the phone and it's going to be an opportunity for you.
Do you guys have a goal in mind of like how diverse your real estate portfolio? Like, do you want a certain number of like rentals? Do you have an idea of like per year, ideally, how many number of like flips you might want to do?
Oh, I
You
love
know?
that. Yeah. You can go first.
I've always said my goal is 100 doors.
I was going to say that, 100 doors. And we had talked about that when we very first started buying multifamilies.
100 doors is the goal. It always has been, and I feel like we're off our track, but we're getting back there. Mm-hmm. There's going to be a lot of opportunity coming up. I really do feel that.
I would love to own an apartment building. Like, I would love to take a C class or B class. Anybody who doesn't know what that means, those are distressed apartment communities, and up-level it and kind of renovate it. Kind of you would flip a house, flip an apartment complex. That would be an amazing goal.
Yeah.
But But so back to, that first flip that we did on the day that we brought Hunter home from the hospital, Gary and I were like, we have to maximize every dollar. And I'm so happy that we both had that mindset to do that, because it took a lot of sacrifice. Because then we were like, we got to get into multifamily investments, which is then what we did.
So the next one we bought was actually the property on 6th Avenue in Neptune. We bought that one.
And then 7th too.
We renovated that one, and we sunk a lot of cash into there. We moved into that property. And then another home came up on 7th Avenue, which
1 block away.
a block up, block over. It was a 2-family home, and we were just like, this one makes sense. Let's just.
It was in disrepair, but
we'll figure it out. It was fully rented. I called my mom and asked her to borrow money. And
and luckily she loves you.
Yeah.
By the way, big shout out to your mom.
I know.
Big supporter.
She's a great
Chronicles.
Yes. Yeah. And she definitely believed in you and your vision.
Yeah, I think after the first one, she was just like, all right, I'm not going to question what you guys can do anymore. Like, I believe that the distressed property, if you guys want to keep going for it, fine. Like, it's not my thing, but if you guys are going to do it. So we cashed out all of Jenn's 401k. And
Not that I had much in there, but I remember somebody I worked with, Lawrence, our real estate mentor, in my 20s was like, put away $100 a month. And who knew that would even amount to anything? But from 24 to I guess 30 or whatever, I put away $100 a month, which was enough to cash out my 401k to keep investing in real estate.
Sure.
Yeah.
so we were still in short sale jail at that point. We couldn't finance the property, and what we did was we again hit all of our contacts up. One of the guys in the real estate office was like, you call this guy, he lends me money, and he's just a guy.
Private money
Private lender.
Private lender, and I don't know how much money he has, but it has enough to lend it out to people. And we gave him 20% down on the purchase of the property. We bought that one for $189,900.
Wow. Oh my God.
It was a 2-family home, and
A 2-family.
so 20% down, and it cash flowed so he gave us, I think it was 12% and 2 points is what I paid.
I forgot that we did that. So we got creative. Yeah. Because you're right. We were in a mortgage jail still, but we got creative to make it work. We have to make it work.
You have to be creative too.
I mean, it cash flowed maybe like $200 or $300 the entire time we had his loan, and
Then we eventually were able to refi it to a traditional mortgage.
yeah, and I want to say it was at like 5 3/4 at that point, the interest rates, which I mean was awesome at the time,
And the crash flowed even more.
and it went from like $200 to like $900 in one day. It was the difference in the cash flow.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't interest only either, so we were paying down the mortgage on a regular basis. I believe at that point we were able to cash out some. No, we maybe just on rate and term at that point.
Yeah.
I don't think we could do cash out. So we refinanced it, and then what did we do?
We sold our home on 6. Like, we've done so many twists and turns. Because we saw the profit. Danielle came over, gave us a CMA. And we're like, if we could sell this house that we're living in for right now, make more profit, let's buy another 2-family. And that's what we did. We sold our primary residence and bought a 2-family.
Yeah.
And then moved into the downstairs of 7th. We have so many twists.
You talked about this on.
Yeah, another episode. Yeah,
Yeah.
the Making Moves. It's coming up in a chapter in Magnificently Made. So if you want to hear about all those crazy twists and turns.
Yeah. So what would you tell someone who wants to invest in this market? Because we have high interest rates, high home prices, so it's not as easy,
Good
of
question.
course, to invest in real estate. So what's your tip?
I think it really just depends on each person's individual situation. It's really not as cut and dry as giving them like one tip. If you're really young right now and you're looking to purchase a home, I would definitely purchase a 2 or 3 family home. And a lot of people don't want to become landlords because they hear of all the negative stories, but the reality is you don't hear all the good stories. Like, people aren't telling you
How they changed their lives.
Yeah.
My tenants are amazing.
Yeah.
and they just paid me my rent today.
Yeah.
They don't tell those stories.
Yes. If you're vetting them properly,
Yeah.
you shouldn't have too many issues.
And that's what you have to do.
I mean, knock on wood, we've never gone through an eviction
No,
for a tenant that we put into a property.
We inherited one.
Right.
that we had to go through court for. And by the way, New Jersey's eviction process is very long, so it's not something you ever want to be in.
Yeah.
Right.
So you have to protect yourself up front and know who you are renting your homes to.
So like doing the due diligence and the background checks.
Yes, and that's why it's so
credit.
important as an investor to connect with, a real estate professional to help you out with renting a home or buying a home, because you do want to connect yourself to the people who know how to help protect you and, put those things in place for you. And it helped that Gary and I obviously were in real estate.
Right.
But we had to be really practical and, make sure we used all of our knowledge. So
Right.
So if for a young investor or somebody looking to purchase a home, a two-family home is a really great way to get into it. What a lot of people don't tell you is that you can actually purchase a home that's a little bit more expensive because you can use 75% of the income of the other property,
The other
of
unit.
of the other unit that you're not living in, to help you qualify for the mortgage.
So if you're approved, let's say for a single family home for 400, you may be approved for a two family up to 6 or something.
Correct.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yep.
I actually just had my dad down in Florida did the same thing. He sold his patio home in Florida, and he bought a two-family home
Which
down
was
there.
much more expensive than
Much more expensive, but he cashed out on one. He was able to stick a
great.
bunch of money in the bank. He put
Nice.
20% down on the property,
Got a
and his
tenant.
liability is a lot less than what he was paying on his condo. Or
Yeah, his
patio
monthly
home.
expenses now are down.
That's great.
Even with buying a more expensive
Right.
home, because he was able to rent
Yeah.
it.
Right. And then something many people don't know is that if you're living in the property, you do not have to put down 25%
Yep.
that you would traditionally have to put
As an
down
investment property.
as an investment property. So that's a nice way around things if you don't have a lot of
Totally.
cash.
And that's Gary and I. So when we sold that house on 6, we bought another two family as a primary.
Right.
And we did end up living there in a 600 square foot apartment. And we've sacrificed. But these are the things that you'd have to do if that's really your goal.
Right.
Unless you
Bought
have the
that
money.
one with 3.5% down
Yeah.
FHA,
Yeah,
and they
it's
actually gave us a seller's concession on that one as well.
Wow.
And being that you're
Real-
real estate
we made a
agents, you
commission.
made a commission on. So didn't you end up making money off the purchase of that?
I'm sure.
Pretty much.
I think
Yeah.
that's what it was.
Almost paid
yeah.
us to
Exactly.
to buy
You got
that
paid
one.
to buy that.
And then we've gotten creative over the years too. So then we would do Airbnb. So the one property we did end up Airbnb for a while, and that was fun. And then we love Florida. So we ended up being like, how can we make Florida investment work? Mm-hmm. So if you want something, you just have to think about it in terms of how will this work for us?
Right.
How can we keep going to Florida but make it work? So we're like, let's buy an investment property.
Yeah.
And another big thing Gary and I are proponents on is partnering. Like we've partnered with you, Danielle. We're partnering with you, Sue. Like we are really big. We partnered with our friend to buy Florida. Like we are big on working with other people to make your dreams come true. Mm-hmm. And we're so grateful. Like your mom, like all of our partners, so grateful to have them.
It definitely helps out. So really looking at the deal, and if you have a good deal, there's a number of people that are going to do it with you as long as the numbers make sense.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't let anything like ever stop you from investing in it.
I mean, yeah, like a young person, you helped out a client that Gary knew too. They were a group of young friends, right? Who bought a multifamily.
Yep.
So they partnered, these young, kids, I call them, but they're in their 20s.
Right.
And they
smart.
Yeah. So if you are young and want to buy something, maybe you do have a like-minded friend or somebody who would invest with you.
If I could do it all over again, I would have bought a multifamily first.
Yeah.
I love my house. And I hadn't, thankfully got, but and that's what I tell anybody. Like I've been trying to tell my nephew, graduate college, please get a two-family. Get started. But that's such a good way to start your real estate journey, whether you're investing, if you want to get into real estate. But I think the big theme I hear for you guys is that you're willing to take the risk. You believe in yourselves enough that you're willing to do like what most people
jump off
to
that
do
cliff.
what most
Yes.
people won't want to do. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's reaped like major reward.
Especially even after, people's biggest fear is that the investment's going to go bad. Yes, it did. Did it ruin our life? No, thank God it didn't.
Right.
We were okay. Yes, you may have a bad investment. It's going to hurt. Yes, but you're going to be okay. You're going to be fine.
Right.
You can lick your wounds. You'll be fine. And thank God we were fine. It was fine.
So at this time, tell us? All right. So you have your primary residence, which, by the way, is an at a level situation, right?
We bought a Cape.
Cape to Colonial.
And we had a vision to completely transform it, and we literally pretty much took it down, and we made a Colonial.
Yeah, so we took that one down to 3 walls, and we really built the whole house. And I mean, we consulted with other people to like mentor on that property as well. So I mean, we use our resources for every little bit along the way. I mean, you're going to find people that are going to really be advocates for you as
help you
through your journey, no matter what you're doing. And it doesn't always have to be like a family member. It could be a friend. It could be another investor.
And networking's big. So Gary is good at networking. You would go to networking events, and this is how you've met other people who, listening to Bigger Pockets, you met Gabe De Silva, who does At a Level, went on his bus tour, became friends with him. So it's all about like, you know, surrounding yourself with good information content, and then going to networking events, meeting other like-minded people, making connections, and then partnering up.
Yeah. I mean, contractors will help you out with different things. We have one guy that we really trust, Bruce, and if I have a question, he's not really working right now. So, I mean, he'll answer questions and kind of guide me through it, but he cares about us and really has an interest in what we're doing, and sees like our big goal, and really is enjoying watching our journey as well.
Yeah, he saw us from that little dumpy house on 6 that we transformed to this new
I got
that we
him
moved in.
from Ben, actually.
Yes, who's
he was
another
a referral
builder.
from another builder.
Yeah.
He was like, call this guy.
Yeah.
And
And we've done a bunch of stuff. So so we have that. We have a commercial building that we own. We're
a
in
couple 2 families.
Yeah, Florida.
Singles.
But so we've diversified the investment. Sometimes it's not always going to be the same pattern that's going to. We were really big into BRRRR.
Yeah.
BRRRR is buy, renovate, refinance, repeat. So for a while there, we were just like, let's buy a distressed home, let's renovate it, let's refinance, get most of our money back, and then repeat. But the market shifted, so that's not always going to work.
Right.
So then we had to. But we've since then have diversified into buying an Airbnb, into buying commercial,
Right.
into doing an at a level.
Yeah.
We're like, how else can we, make the money work?
We've left money in probably most of them, but we have gotten a lot of our money back out, and we've kind of recycled a lot of the same cash over and over again. I mean,
Velocity of money.
we're in the process of doing that right now. I mean, we built our home, and it's worth significantly more than what we were into it totally for. We're not able to pull all of our money back out, but we're going to get a significant chunk of our investment of the money that we put into the property back out of the property, and we're going to have a beautiful home to live in, and we're able to basically put that into the next property.
And for us, it's just keep thinking about like the velocity of money.
Yeah.
How do we take this dollar and compound it to become 10,
Right.
100? How do we think smarter like that?
Yeah. Making your money make you more money, right?
And so for people who don't really know what that means, they're doing a cash out refinance. So they're pulling out some of the equity that they have in their property.
Exactly. So if you bought a home for $200, renovated it, from your own pocket with $75,000, but now because you renovated it, it's now worth $350. You're able to pull out 75%, which is pretty cool. So the BRRRR method, but the rates have gone up, so you have to be careful. Like BRRRR is not always going to work, but that was one method that was really good to us.
Do you have a favorite, like a favorite child?
A favorite house?
A favorite investment property?
Question.
Your least.
I love
the
your
least
Riverview
trouble.
property.
My favorite right now is our new house. I'm loving it. But do you have a favorite?
Probably 7th.
Aw.
It makes the most amount of money.
That's a
That
good
makes
one.
sense.
And I mean, we're probably, even our rents on that one are probably really low compared to what the market is now. It's gone up so much. But
Yeah.
I mean, our mortgage is nothing over there.
And this is what happens when you own real estate. So, we bought, sorry to jump to another property, but Riverview is a home we own in West Belmar, Wall Township. When we bought it, the numbers didn't make sense. They didn't, right? Like the rent downstairs was really low. Upstairs wasn't rented. So anybody who was a pure investor was looking at the cap rate that wasn't there. So I think that's why other investors passed it. But Gary and I were like, well, if we buy it, we can probably renovate. We could live in one unit, maybe raise the rent. We saw you have to look at things differently. And now, gosh, we just rented it, and the prices that we're renting for are something we never even dreamed of. And real estate is also holding long-term game and having a vision, thinking ahead.
Right.
And I
makes a lot of
think
sense.
if you, obviously it's easier for us in real estate because we know people, we have past clients, etc. But if you can find a property off market that's not listed, that's always huge too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes,
You've done that a few
exactly.
times.
And that's how it helps with networking.
Yeah.
Networking with people, networking with agents, friends, just finding out who is going to sell. Maybe there's somebody who has the aunt or a friend who has a distressed home that they're like, will you take, Gary and I have taken homes that we have had to have like literally 6 dumpsters, trucks of emptying out because we're like, we'll just take it. Don't move a thing. We'll take it the way it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what you have to do sometimes to make the deal work.
Right. So people just want to get rid of their house.
I want to walk away.
Deal with having showings, and you're almost doing them a favor. I'll take it off your hands.
Yes. You don't have to do a thing. We'll take it.
Yeah.
And another thing that I love, we read a Zillow book years ago about investing in real estate, and it said invest in the fringe. So a lot of people want to go to the hot zone, and hot zone's important, but a lot of people are in that hot zone. But if you go to the neighborhoods right outside, and that's what we've done with Neptune. We invested in Neptune back in like 2015.
We also couldn't afford the hot zone.
Yeah, this is true. Facts. We wanted the hot zone. Hot zone, yeah. Was it going to happen?
Hot zone didn't want you.
Yes. But if you invest in the fringe, it's going to bleed through.
Yeah.
And it has.
Yeah.
You have to have
Absolutely
vision and, patience.
100% patience, because things weren't always going to turn over so quick. Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah, you have to have a long-term game. And I think, so obviously we're in this market. Yes, will I invest in other markets? Sure. But you have to also know your numbers. So in Bigger Pockets, I'll talk about what's the job growth, what's, the median house price, what's the median income. And these are things you want to know if you are going to invest in other places.
Right.
Look, what's happening there? Like here in our area, there is job growth. Like there is a lot. We're next to New York City. Fort Monmouth is being redeveloped. There's a lot happening in this zone. And it's important to know those things, like the economics of it.
Right.
It's terrible here. Don't buy.
Competition.
No.
I have a friend who is investing in, I guess there's like a place in Pennsylvania. They're building a lot more storage facilities and stuff like that. So there's job growth starting to happen there, and like starting to buy, I can't talk today, starting to buy multifamilies there and everything.
That's awesome.
And I think that's pretty extraordinary. Personally, I feel a little nervous about investing, I guess, outside of the state where I can't keep an eye on stuff so much. But that goes back to you have to have the confidence that just go for it, But
you should.
so don't be afraid to look outside of your area, because I actually know someone too who's investing in Georgia, but they live in Manhattan, and
If it makes sense. And,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Just make sure you do your due diligence. So you're not going in it blind. But if you do your due diligence and it makes sense, don't be scared.
Right.
There's another good Bigger Pockets book on that one. It's long distance investing, something like that.
And it talks about David Green.
David Green, yeah. And it really just talks about having your team in place and being able to trust those people. So it really just depends. Like if the person I'm assuming that the person investing in Georgia has somebody else that they're investing in their deal for. You need to know that person knows what they're talking about. If they don't know what they're talking about, they're not somebody you want to invest with. So it's really just finding those people that are the expert in that area and have the team in place that are going to make sure that deal goes from A to Z in the right time frame, or do exactly what they're going to say they do. With those bigger deals, they send you prospectus and decks to
because if you want, people can put money into big projects.
Yeah.
Like maybe you don't know what, but you can put a portion into like a bigger project and get a return.
Right.
But you should also
Like
know.
a return.
Yes, exactly. But you should do some research too.
Right.
Like, does this storage unit in this area make sense? So
Yeah. So what I hear for that, and then what I hear for us here, is you have to have the right team in place. It's very, very important.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Absolutely. And I guess any other tips, Gary, that you would have for anybody who's investing, or what you've learned, lessons?
I mean, really, you just have to do it. A lot of people talk about investing and they're just not.
They sit on the fence.
They sit on the fence. Like right now, you're seeing people, they're like, we're going to wait until the interest rates come down or the market's going to crash. Well, those people are just never going to invest. Don't listen to them. They're not the expert. Like, what do they do?
Well, investors are still investing right now. Just an FYI.
And what does Warren Buffett say? He says,
What does he say?
be greedy. I'm going to be greedy when others are fearful, and be fearful when others are greedy.
There you go.
Okay. That's a good one.
That's a really good quote, and one that I mess up all the time.
But it's true, right? People are fearful, and this is when people can take over and seize opportunities.
Right.
I feel like the next 6 months are going to be a little rocky in the real estate industry, and it really is going to be an opportunity for people to purchase homes because nobody else is doing it. The interest rates are through the roof. People are worried about the house prices coming down, but supply and demand really dictates otherwise.
Yeah.
So I do think that the market's going to pick up. It's just, and if you have inventory that you're putting on the market, so if you're flipping a house, it is a good time to sell those because there's no inventory and people want move-in ready.
Yeah.
So there's a huge demand for that.
I know.
It's
And
not out
obviously,
there.
yeah. And obviously, Gary and I would tell people too, buy the ugly house.
Yeah.
Buy it.
Yeah.
The ugly houses have paid us really well.
We've exclusively bought distressed real estate.
Yeah.
We do not buy anything that's pretty much turnkey. Florida was probably the most turnkey
But
property
we still
that we
put
purchased.
pool in it. Yeah. But that, I feel like that's better to do it because then you're forcing the equity. You're adding, because if you're buying something that's renovated, you're buying it already at top dollar.
Right.
But if you
Right.
can buy something undervalued that needs work, it's not going to be fun doing it. But once you do it,
Right.
you'll be happy
Yeah.
you did it.
Yeah.
So.
Right.
And at the end of the day, I mean, even if you're just buying a property for yourself and your family to live in, if you buy a distressed home, you get to do it, and it's exactly with what you want at the end of the day, and it's done. Then you don't have to renovate it. You don't have to worry about it. It's done. You're not worrying, when's this going to go? When's that going to go?
And you have instant equity.
Instant equity, and then you know everything about the house
Right.
also.
Yep. Sweet.
Yeah, it's crazy because my parents bought a house that Gary and I renovated.
I can't
I
get
know.
over that part.
And it's funny because so we bought this house back in 2016. We sold it in 2018. And that's when we bought the 2-family. And another couple had owned it, and then my parents just bought it last year in 2022. But Gary and I are like, oh, we redid the plumbing, we redid the electrical,
Yeah,
like
well,
knew
it's good you're
everything about it.
able to tell your parents. That, right?
But even still, things have gone wrong, and we're like, yeah, you should do this because this is what was happening when we were here.
and we didn't
Right.
get to that. Yeah.
yeah.
So funny.
But it is funny, right? Like when you get to do a project like that, how
Yeah.
intimate you get to know the house.
Right.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah. But we love real estate. We love real estate investing. So obviously, if you guys have questions for our team, Gary, myself, Sue, Danielle, make sure you reach out to us. Gary, where can people find you?
I am. Oh man,
You're on Instagram.
I'm on Instagram. I am Investor Data. I'm on TikTok.
Love it.
TikTok. I'm at GMoss, MAWS, and
Facebook?
Facebook. I'm not really there. I'm there, but I'm not. But
More Instagram and TikTok, I guess you're
we're
at.
Jersey Property Group on Facebook.
Yep.
Yes, we work with Gary.
Yeah.
We didn't. I don't think we mentioned.
Yeah,
that.
so we all work
We all
together.
work together.
Care Bear. Thanks for coming on today
Yeah.
and your
no,
support
thanks for
for our podcast. We appreciate it.
Oh, of course. I think you guys are doing a great job. So keep it up and keep rolling.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome.
We love investing in real estate, so definitely reach out if you have questions.
Yes, for sure. Take care.
Bye. Thanks for listening.